Welcome back to another episode of Out Loud Geek, where we discuss news and views about pop culture, science fiction, fantasy, food, cooking, the outdoors, and more. In this box office roundup video for the weekend that ended on September 29th, 2024, two new movies made it into this weekend's top 5 movies at the domestic box office. But one high-budget movie that premiered this weekend was unable to make it into the top 5. And the cumulative total earnings for this weekend's top 5 movies at the domestic box office rose slightly to $70.2 million, which was around an 8.7% increase over last weekend's cumulative total of $64.6 million, but is the third weekend in a row that it was below $100 million. But before proceeding, I'd like to ask everyone to please like this video, please leave a comment, please subscribe to support this channel, and please press the bell to receive notifications. Thanks! And as of this weekend, the 3 highest grossing movies, both domestically and worldwide, for 2024 remained Disney Pixar's animated movie Inside Out 2, Disney and Marvel Studios' MCU movie Deadpool and Wolverine, and Illumination Entertainment's animated sequel Despicable Me 4. Domestically, Inside Out 2 earned another $36,000 to bring its current domestic box office total up to $652.9 million. And it remains one of only 2 movies that have broken $600 million domestically in 2024. Internationally, the movie earned another $389,000 to bring its current international box office total up to $1,034.4 million. So globally, Inside Out 2 earned another $471,000 to bring its current global gross box office total up to $1,687.3 million, and keeps it as the first and only movie so far this year to break $1.6 billion worldwide. It also remains the first movie to have broken $1 billion worldwide in 2024, but it's not the only movie to have done so. Further, Inside Out 2 has now earned $241.7 million more than last year's highest grossing movie, Barbie, which earned $1,445.6 million. In terms of estimated break-even points, Inside Out 2 has a reported production budget of $200 million, which, when multiplied by 2.5 and 3.0 respectively, to account for the 50% of gross box office ticket sales that movie theaters keep for themselves, as well as the additional costs of marketing the movie and other miscellaneous costs that the studio pays above and beyond the production budget, yields an estimated break-even point range of $500 million to $600 million. Thus, Inside Out 2 has most definitely made bank. Domestically, Deadpool and Wolverine earned another $2.7 million during the weekend and $1.4 million during the week to bring its current domestic box office total up to $631.3 million, which keeps it as the second highest grossing movie domestically so far this year, and also the second movie to break $600 million domestically. Deadpool and Wolverine is also the highest grossing R-rated movie domestically of all time by having surpassed the domestic box office earnings of 2004's The Passion of the Christ during the weekend of August 11th. Internationally, the movie earned another $569,000 to bring its current international box office total up to $690 million. So globally, the movie earned another $4.6 million to bring its current global gross box office total up to $1,321.2 million, keeping it as only the second movie so far this year to break $1 billion globally. Deadpool and Wolverine is also the highest grossing R-rated movie worldwide of all time by having outperformed the global earnings of 2019's R-rated movie entitled Joker during the weekend of August 18th. In terms of the MCU, Deadpool and Wolverine is Marvel Studios' first movie since 2021's Spider-Man No Way Home to break $1 billion at the global box office and has risen to be the franchise's 7th highest grossing movie worldwide of all time by having surpassed the global box office earnings of 2013's Iron Man 3. And the possibility remains that Deadpool and Wolverine might become the MCU's 6th highest grossing movie worldwide of all time if it can surpass the $1,336.5 million that Black Panther earned in 2018. And with its reported production budget of $250 million, when multiplied by 2.5 and 3.0, that yields an estimated break-even point range of $625 million to $750 million. Clearly, Deadpool and Wolverine has already made bank. Domestically, Despicable Me 4 earned another $269,000 to bring its current domestic box office total up to $360.8 million. Internationally, the movie earned another $2.6 million to bring its current international box office total up to $590.4 million. So globally, the movie earned another $3 million to bring its current global gross box office total up to $951.2 million, which keeps it as only the third movie so far this year to break $900 million globally. And for Despicable Me 4, with its reported production budget of $100 million, when multiplied by 2.5 and 3.0, that yields an estimated break-even point range of $250 million to $300 million respectively. Thus, Despicable Me 4 has already made bank. So this weekend's top 5 movies at the domestic box office included the following. DreamWorks Animation's movie The Wild Robot opened at number 1. Beetlejuice Beetlejuice fell to number 2 and was produced by Plan B Entertainment, Tim Burton, Warner Brothers, and several other companies. Paramount Animation, Hasbro Entertainment, and New Republic Pictures animated movie Transformers 1 fell to number 3. The foreign movie from India entitled Devara Part 1 opened at number 4. And finally, Blumhouse's horror movie entitled Speak No Evil fell to number 5. The animated movie The Wild Robot opened by earning $35 million domestically and $18.1 million internationally for a global gross opening weekend box office total of $53.1 million. Domestically, Beetlejuice Beetlejuice earned another $16 million to bring its current domestic box office total up to $250.1 million. Internationally, the movie earned another $20.2 million to bring its current international box office total up to $123.2 million. So globally, the movie earned another $43.5 million to bring its current global gross box office total up to $373.3 million. Domestically, Transformers 1 earned another $9.3 million to bring its current domestic box office total up to $39.2 million. Internationally, the movie earned another $18.8 million to bring its current international box office total up to $32.8 million. So globally, the movie earned another $33.4 million to bring its current global gross box office total up to $72 million. The Indian movie Devara Part 1 opened by earning $5.6 million domestically, but has no current international earnings. Domestically, Speak No Evil earned another $4.3 million to bring its current domestic box office total up to $28.1 million. Internationally, the movie earned another $8.7 million to bring its current international box office total up to $29.6 million. So globally, the movie earned another $15.5 million to bring its current global gross box office total up to $57.7 million. And given the movie's very low production budget of $15 million, which would equate to an estimated mid-range break-even point of $37.7 million, the movie has definitely made bank. I'm also tracking several other movies that are no longer in or never were in the top 5, which includes the following. American Zoetrope and Caesar Film's sci-fi movie entitled Megalopolis, which was entirely funded, written, and directed by Francis Ford Coppola and stars Adam Driver, opened at number 6. In its 10th weekend in theaters, Deadpool and Wolverine fell to number 7. In its 7th weekend in theaters, Scott-Free Productions and Brandywine's movie entitled Alien Romulus fell to number 16. In its 13th weekend at the box office, Despicable Me 4 fell to number 18. In its 11th weekend at the box office, Universal Pictures, Warner Brothers, and Amblin Entertainment sequel entitled Twisters fell to number 20. And finally, in its 16th weekend at the box office, Inside Out 2 fell to number 26. Domestically, Megalopolis opened by earning $4 million, but no international earnings have yet been reported. And with a reported production budget of $120 million, yeah, Megalopolis is a huge flop. Since I already talked about the box office earnings for Deadpool and Wolverine, we'll move on to Alien Romulus. Domestically, the movie earned another $487,000 to bring its current domestic box office total up to $104.7 million. Internationally, the movie earned another $262,000 to bring its current international box office total up to $238.2 million. So globally, the movie earned another $1.3 million to bring its current global gross box office total up to $342.8 million. And Alien Romulus has already made bank and is currently the second highest grossing movie of the franchise. Since I already talked about the box office earnings for Despicable Me 4, we'll move on to Twisters. Domestically, the movie earned another $228,000 to bring its current domestic box office total up to $267.6 million. Internationally, the movie earned another $99,000 to bring its current international box office total up to $102.4 million. So globally, the movie earned another $479,000 to bring its current global gross box office total up to $370 million. Now, to know whether these movies are going to break even or not, as well as how much money they might be losing, we need to look at their production budgets, which we can then multiply by 2.5 for a single mid-range estimated break-even point, or by both 2.5 and 3.0 for a broader estimated break-even point range. But if there's a reported value for the movie's marketing and distribution budget, we can add that to the movie's production budget for a total cost, and then multiply the sum by 2 to yield a more accurate estimated break-even point. For The Wild Robot, with its production budget of $78 million, that yields an estimated break-even point range of $195 million to $234 million. For Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, with its reported production budget of $100 million, that yields an estimated break-even point range of $250 million to $300 million. For Transformers 1, with its reported production budget of $75 million, that yields an estimated break-even point range of $187.5 million to $225 million. For Megalopolis, with its production budget of $120 million, that yields an estimated break-even point range of $300 million to $360 million. For Alien Romulus, with its reported moderate production budget of $80 million, that yields an estimated break-even point range of $200 million to $240 million. For Twisters, with its reported production budget of $200 million, that yields an estimated break-even point range of $500 million to $600 million. So in this video, I am no longer projecting or never have projected what the final domestic or global gross box office earnings might be for the movies Megalopolis, Deadpool and Wolverine, Alien Romulus, or Twisters, because their expected future earnings are either currently too small, possibly non-existent, or going unreported. For Megalopolis, with its reported earnings of $4 million and its estimated break-even point range of $300 million to $360 million, the movie currently stands to lose somewhere on the order of $296 million to $356 million in global gross box office revenue. But both Deadpool and Wolverine and Alien Romulus have already made bank. For Twisters, with its reported global gross box office earnings of $370 million and its estimated break-even point range of $500 million to $600 million, the movie currently stands to lose somewhere on the order of $130 million to $230 million in global gross box office revenue. Then by dividing the global gross box office revenue losses by 2 to account for the 50% of gross box office ticket sales that movie theaters keep for themselves, the affected studios currently stand to lose the following. For Megalopolis, American Zoetrope and Caesar Film currently stand to lose around $148 million to $178 million. For Twisters, Universal Pictures, Warner Brothers, and Amblin Entertainment currently stand to lose around $65 million to $115 million. And that now brings us to the movies whose final domestic and global gross box office revenues I am currently projecting, which includes The Wild Robot, Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, and Transformers 1. For The Wild Robot, using a range of possible average weekly draws from 30 to 40%, I can project that the final domestic box office for the movie may range from $87.5 million at the low end, $100 million at the mid-range, and $116.5 million at the upper end. And using the movie's current domestic share of 65.96%, I can project that the final global gross box office earnings for the movie may range from $132.6 million at the low end, $151.5 million at the mid-range, and $176.6 million at the upper end. So given the movie's estimated break-even point range of $195 million to $234 million, it currently looks like the movie is going to flop and lose as much as $18.4 million to $101.4 million in global gross box office revenue, which, when divided by 2 to account for the 50% of gross box office ticket sales that movie theaters keep for themselves, means that DreamWorks Animation may lose somewhere on the order of $9.2 million to $50.7 million. For Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, using a range of possible average weekly draws from 30 to 40%, I can project that the final domestic box office for the movie may range from $285.1 million at the low end, $293.4 million at the mid-range, and $304.2 million at the upper end, which is slightly lower than last week's projection. And using the movie's current domestic share of 67%, which is lower than last week's, I can project that the final global gross box office earnings for the movie may range from $425.6 million at the low end, $437.9 million at the mid-range, and $454.1 million at the upper end, which is more narrow than last week's projection. And given the movie's estimated break-even point range of $250 million to $300 million, the movie has already made bank. For Transformers 1, this is the 8th movie in the Transformers franchise, though it's an animated movie and not live action. Still, if we assume that its box office earnings could have an average weekly drop that might fall within plus or minus one standard deviation of the franchise average of 29.7%, with a standard deviation of 8.47%, that creates a possible range of average weekly drops from 21.23% to 38.18%. And using that range, I can project that the final domestic box office earnings for the movie may range from $62.7 million at the low end, $73.5 million at the mid-range, and $92 million at the upper end, which is lower than last week's projection. Having premiered in China this weekend, the movie's current domestic share fell to 54.42%, which is nearly a 10% drop from last week's 64.1%, and is now 1.87 standard deviations above the franchise average of 33.09%. And using that current domestic share, I can project that the movie's final global gross box office earnings might range from $115.2 million at the low end, $135 million at the mid-range, and $169 million at the upper end, which is lower than last week's far more optimistic projection. Thus, it would now appear that Transformers 1 is a flop and will likely lose somewhere between $18.5 million to $109.8 million in global gross box office revenue, which, when divided by 2 to account for the 50% of gross box office ticket sales that movie theaters keep for themselves, means that Paramount Animation, Hasbro Entertainment, and New Republic Pictures currently stand to lose somewhere on the order of $9.3 million to $54.9 million. So as of this weekend, The Wild Robot and Transformers 1 join Twisters as definite flops, while Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, Alien Romulus, Deadpool and Wolverine, Inside Out 2, and Despicable Me 4 have all made bank. Thanks for watching today, and a huge thanks to everyone who has subscribed to our channel. We appreciate your support. If you enjoyed this video, please press the like button, and please feel free to share a comment. If you'd like to help support this channel, please press the red subscribe button, and please press the bell to receive notifications for new content. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Twitter by clicking on the links in the description. Until next time, this is Out Loud Geek.